All right, algebra students, Mr. Peterson here. I am out for a few days, so I got 2 days of some video lessons for you guys to watch and do until I come back. So what we're working on, we're going to get moving into topic 2. That's going to be our next unit that we're going to cover in our book. So we're just going to get prepped for that. Okay, we're going to get ready for topic 2. So today I got 2-1A for you. And what we're going to do, this should be a review from 8th grade math and pre-algebra. Okay, so this shouldn't be anything new. It should be something that you have done before. We're just reviewing so that we can get ready for what we need to do in algebra. Okay, so the first thing we're going to take a look at is how are we going to find the slope of a line. We're going to take a look at different types of slopes that are out there. And then what we're going to do lastly is we're going to review how to calculate the slope if we have 2 points from a coordinate plane. Okay, so first let's go take a look at exactly what slope is. Okay, so when you're finding the slope of a line, what the slope is it is just a number that represents the steepness of a line. Okay, so here we have this line over here on this graph. So we just want to know how steep that number is. Okay, and every single graph is made up of x values that go right to left. Okay, and then you got your y values that go up and down. Okay, so our slope is our rise over top of our run. Okay, and what that means, that's just the change in our y values over top of the change in our x values. Okay, so take a look at this line here that we have. All right, all of these points on this line, they're all going up by the same amount, and they're all going over by the same amount. Okay, so here's what I mean by that. It's labeled for us. So to get from this point here to this point, we have to go up 1, 2, 3 spaces and over 1, 2 spaces. Okay, that gives us a rise of 3 and a run of 2. Okay, so my rise value would go right here, and my run value would go down here on the bottom of that fraction. Okay, that just means our change in y and our change in x. What is our x values changing by? What is our y values changing by? Okay, so that fraction, if you look at every single point, it does the same thing. It goes up by 3, over by 2. So this line here, we would say it has a slope of 3 over 2, and we'd leave it written as a fraction just like that. Okay, so there's a little review of what slope is. Let's take a look at the different kinds of slopes we could have. There are 4 different types of slopes out there, meaning there's 4 different ways that a line on a graph could look. Okay, the first way, it could have a positive slope, meaning that our line, as it goes up, it is pointing to the right. Okay, so the line rises from the left to the right. So going this way, it is going up. It is increasing. Okay, so if the line points to the right, then it is a positive slope. That's going to be a positive number. Okay, so this slope here, if we take a look, if our line is pointing to the left, then it's going to be a negative slope. It's going to be a negative number. Okay, so take a look at the language we have here. The line falls from the left to the right. Okay, so as we go this way, then our line is actually going down. All right, it's heading in a downwards direction. Okay, so we would call that a negative slope when that happens. All right, a zero slope is just a line that is perfectly flat, like that. And an undefined slope is a line that is vertical. Okay, it goes like straight up and down. We call that undefined because we don't really have a number that would represent what that slope is. All right, so we just label it as undefined. Okay, so now that we know the different types, let's take a look at calculating or finding what the slope of a line would be on a graph. Okay, so here's the first line that we have. Notice right away that the line is pointing to the right. Okay, that means it's going to be a positive slope. Okay, so right away it points to the right, so I know it's going to be positive. Okay, now let's take a look at what's going on. We have this point here, and we have this point over here. Okay, so this line, our run would be this way, how many spaces it goes to the right, and then our rise would be how many spaces it goes up. Okay, so if we take a look at how many places it goes to the right, that would be our run, and that has a run of 6. And then if we take a look at how far up the line goes, how far it rises, that has a rise of 3. Okay, so now we just want to take those two numbers and we're going to write our slope. Okay, so the slope is equal to the rise over top of the run. All right, so that would be a rise of 3 and a run of 6, and it's positive. We could simplify that fraction down to make it 1/2, so there would be our slope. All right, this line would have a slope of 1/2. You could also, the way this was counted was by taking a look at how far over and how far up it went. You could also go this way. You could go a rise of 3 like that, and then you could go over that way, a rise of 6. That's another way you could do it if you didn't like how it was done down here on the bottom. Okay, so we'll take a look at another example. All right, here's another one we have. Notice right away this line is pointing to the left, so that means this slope is going to be negative automatically, okay, because it's pointing up here to the left side. All right, we have points right here and right here, so we're just going to figure out what is our rise and what is our run. So we're going to write slope is equal to rise over top of run, and we'll see what that is. Okay, to go from this point to the other one, we have a rise of 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then our run, so to go, we have to go to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, we're going to the left 9, and because we're going to the left, that is what makes our slope negative. Okay, because check it out. We were right here at 3, and as it goes this way, it goes in a negative direction because our numbers are going down. Okay, so that makes it a -9. That's what makes our slope negative. All right, because we're going that direction with it, with our numbers. Okay, so we're going to say our slope is negative. We had a rise of 3. We have a run of 9. We can simplify that down and make that -1/3. And there would be our slope of that line. Okay? All right, I think I have one for you guys to try. Okay, so try that one, see what you can do. Take a look at that line. First, notice which way it is pointing, because that'll tell you if it's positive or negative, and then see if you can figure out what the slope is after that. All right, you can pause the video and take a couple minutes to work that out, and then we'll check to see what your answer is. All right, let's take a look and see what you got for a slope for this line. Okay, so we have a rise of 2, okay, and it's going up. And then we have a run of, I put -5 here because we're going that way on our number line. We're going to the left, so it makes our numbers go down as we're going to the left. Okay, so here is our slope. We have a -2 over top of 5. That would be the slope of that line. All right, hopefully that worked out for you. If not, you can make any fixes on that you need to. Okay, and sometimes when we're trying to find the slope of a line, we don't have an actual picture or image of the line to work with on a graph. All we have are 2 points. Okay, so here we have these two. We got 2, 5, and we have this point over here, 8, 1. Okay, so if we don't have a picture of a line, what we can use is this formula right here. That is our slope formula. that will allow us to calculate what the slope of that line would be. So if we put that line on a graph, we would know what the slope is. Okay, so every single point out there on a graph is made up of an x and a y. Okay, we have a number for x, which is the first number, and then a number for y, which is our second one. Same with this one here, this 8, 1. The 8 is the x, and the 1 is the y. All right, and how we're going to use this formula here looks a little weird at first, but here's what I want you to do. We're going to label this point as point number 1, and we're going to label this point as point number 2. All right, we got 2 points up there, so we got point 1 and point 2. Okay, now because this is point 1, we're going to label this x as x1 and this y as y1. And because this is point 2 over here, we're going to label this x as x2 and this y as y2. All right, now that we got the points labeled, it's just a matter of taking these points and putting them into this equation where they would go. Okay, so we just got to take our numbers and drop them into that equation, that formula, and we can calculate what the slope is. Okay, so let's write the numbers where they would go. So this letter M, that's just the universal letter for slope. That just means in math that we're calculating slope. So let's fill in some numbers. So for y2, I have 1, and then I'm going to subtract, and then for y1, I end up with 5. Okay, so there's my y2 minus y1 on top. Okay, and down on the bottom, I need x2 minus x1, so here is x2, which is 8, minus, and here is x1, which is 2, so I'll put the 2 in there. Okay, now that I got the numbers where they need to be, it's just a matter of calculating what it would come out to. Watch your math with your positives and negatives with these. Use a calculator if you're not quite comfortable with those. So if we calculate this, 1 minus 5 is going to get us negative 4, and 8 minus 2 is going to get us 6. Okay, and because one of our numbers is negative, that's going to make the entire slope negative, and I can simplify that down to 2 over 3. Okay, so that would be my answer. This line has a slope of negative 2/3. If we were to put that on a graph, you would see that that's what the slope would actually come out to. All right, so we can calculate it if we have 2 points. Let's check out another example. Okay, so here we got 2 points on a line again, and we got our slope formula, so we want to calculate this. So first, let's just label our first point as point number 1, second point as point number 2, and then let's just label what our x1 and y1s are. So this is point 1, so we're going to call it x1 and y1. And over here is point 2, so we're going to call that x2 and y2. All right, now it's just a matter of putting our numbers into this slope formula where they need to go. All right, and as you put these numbers in, watch out for these negatives. We got the negative symbols kind of everywhere on this problem. Okay, so take the negatives with you when you put them in the formula. So for y2, I have negative 2, so I'm going to put negative 2. Then I need a minus sign, and then y1 is going to be negative 5. Okay, take a look at all those negatives and minuses up on the top. All right, so make sure you get those. You got negative 2 minus negative 5. Okay, and then underneath, x2 is 7, so we're going to have 7 minus x1, which is negative 2. Okay, so bring the negatives with it. All right, now see what I mean? You get all those minuses and the negatives, and it can be a little confusing. Use a calculator if you need to be able to figure out what that would be. Okay, so up on top, negative 2 minus negative 5 is going to end up getting us positive 3. Okay, and then 7 minus negative 2 is going to end up giving us positive 9. All right, and we can simplify that down, and we can make that into 1/3. So there would be our slope of that line. All right, it'd come out to be positive 1/3. Okay, so there's another example. I'm going to have you guys try one. see how it goes for you. Okay, so take a look at this one. Use the slope formula, put the numbers in where they would go. Check your math when you're working with those negatives and see what you get. So pause the video and then we'll take a look at what your answer would be. All right, everyone, let's take a look at this and see what it would come out to. Okay, so if we put all the numbers where they would go, up on top we would have -4 minus -7. Okay, and then underneath we have 6 minus 5. All right, watch your calculations when you do this. You would end up with 3 over top of 1, and we could just simplify that down to a 3. All right, you could leave it 3 over 1, but you could also just make it right into whole number 3. All right, hopefully that worked out. If not, take a look at what happened and make any fixes that you might need to on your paper. Okay, and the last thing we're going to take a look at is we could use the slope formula on a graph if we wanted to, if our numbers get kind of complicated, okay? Like if I'm looking at this line, and if I'm trying to do like my rise over top of run, it's a little hard to do that with how these numbers are spaced out on this graph, okay? And plus my numbers are getting kind of big to work with. All right, so when that happens, if you can't quite figure out the rise and the run with the graph just by looking at the line, you can use any two coordinates and you can use the slope formula to figure it out. Okay, like for example, I could call this coordinate number 1, and I could call this one coordinate number 2, and then I could just label them. So this would be x1, y1, and this would be x2, y2. Okay, so I can use those 2 points, and I can find the slope that way if I wanted to. All right, so if I do that, let's just put these numbers where they would go. So I need y2 minus y1, so that's going to be 10 minus 20 on top. Okay, and then underneath, I need x2 minus x1, so that's going to be 30 minus 50 for underneath. All right, now we just got to do a little math, see what that works out to. 10 minus 20 is going to get us -10, and 30 minus 50 is going to get us -20. All right, because we got 2 negatives up there on this problem, they're going to cancel out, so it becomes a positive, and we can simplify that all the way down to 1/2. All right, so that would be the slope of that line. For that graph, it would be 1/2. Okay, that's about all I got for you guys today. Just a review on slopes, how to calculate them, how to find them on a graph. So what you guys got, your assignment. There is a worksheet to work on where you're going to practice more of this. I don't have any homework for you today. That you should be able to get that done in class. And anyway, good luck on that. Check the answer key to see if you need to see how you are working those out. And next time in class, we'll take a look at 2-1B. It'll be another review to kind of get ready for topic 2. All right, thanks for watching, guys.